How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you? It's been a great event.
Yeah, you enjoying it?
Yeah, super nice. Very well set up. Really interesting people. Great crowd. And also the talks have been really well done.
Also, quick best practice: gotta hold your mic very close to you. Yeah,
Okay. Is that better now?
That's solid.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah, glad to hear it's day 2. I'm sure we all feel also a little bit tired and ready to unwind very soon. But why are you here? What brings you here? Give us a quick intro. Come on.
Yeah, happy to.
We gotta get that intro.
Mitul, I'm the founder of refive/owned. Owned is our new Web3 product. And the reason I'm here is because I believe that it's time now for us to start building solutions that are based on Web3, but are solving problems in the real world. And so I'm here to present one of those solutions that we've been working on, where we're helping retailers and brands basically build stronger customer relationships using all these amazing capabilities that tokens offer, whether it's about decentralized ownership and people being able to trade them easily, or about adding utility and being programmable. So all of these capabilities add completely new ways for brands to engage with customers, but it's super hard to do it right now. And it requires people to understand all this crypto wallet complexity. And so what we do is we take that away both for the merchant and for the customer and provide a Web2 layer, let's say, on top that makes all of this accessible and easy for them to use.
So could you give me a Web2 example of a attempt to engage your customers or fans, let's say, and then tie that to what the Web3 version would look like, or why Web3 adds more value to that experience?
Sure. So I think there's 2 things. One is making existing things better, and 2 is creating completely new ways of doing it. So I'll focus on the first because it's easier to make the bridge. If you think of how traditional loyalty programs work, right? It's a very, let's say, one-way relationship. The brand owns all the power. I go to a store, I buy online from a brand, and they give me some points, which are imaginary points sitting on a database. And then one day, maybe I can use these to redeem some sort of an award. But I don't really have control over it. I don't have ownership of those points. If tomorrow they decide that the program is canceled, I don't get those anymore. I can't trade them. I can't give them to anyone. And honestly, it's not personalized in any way, right? So do I really want my 10th pan because I have points that can earn me a pan? So I think that's what Web3 changes, because instead of issuing points to customers, you could give them tokens for different interactions. And these tokens could be programmed with different levels of utility, right? So let's take an example again. We're both going to a coffee shop. You like to drink a matcha. I like to drink a cappuccino. And the brand offers you for the matcha, you drink a matcha token, I get a cappuccino token, and we get different features unlocked, right? So as a cappuccino fan, the next time I go in, maybe I can get an extra shot of espresso in my cappuccino because I have my cappuccino token. And as a matcha fan, you might choose a different roast of matcha, let's say, at the next time you go and get that as a perk. And the idea is basically you're taking the same concept of rewarding customers for spending with you, but what you're doing is what they get in return is much more personalized. It's much more valuable for the customers. And the best part is if they want, they can trade it. So if tomorrow you have a friend who's a matcha fan who moves to Berlin and goes to the same cafe, you can be like, hey, I have a gift for you. Here's my matcha token. Go check out this place.
You already answered my question with your last statement, which was, that sounds great, but you could also personalize certificates or give out tokens or PDFs that still are personalized. And that's okay, you have matcha, now you get a matcha thing. But I guess you added the value prop of Web3, which relates to the fact that you can now trade that token, that perk. Is that the key reason why it's so interesting to tie that to the blockchain?
So I think one is the tradability. The second is, I think it's easy to say that let's, issue different kinds of certificates or PDFs or different capabilities to people. But technically speaking, actually executing on that gets a lot harder because then you need tools that are able to understand that. In the case of a token, a lot of these are characteristics of the token that are encoded in there and can be read by, a lot of different systems easily. So you don't need to basically have this all hidden away in a database somewhere where it says, okay, ID 1234, That's Marvin. He has these perks assigned to him, right? Which also means that it's a lot easier to interoperate. So let's say your coffee shop where you have your matcha token decides to tie up with the ramen shop down the street and say, you know what, they're doing a matcha ramen special and everyone who has matcha tokens from us can go get a matcha ramen there. That's amazing. If you wanted to do that in the past, they would have had to have some way to give the ramen shop a way to validate that you have a matcha token or that your matcha card is available and that these are how many points you have. And now all the ramen shop needs to do is be able to understand, okay, this is a ramen token, this is a matcha token from the coffee shop next door. That means I can give this customer the special perk, right? So interoperability, long story short.
That's the one word I heard a lot these days is the interoperability. And I mean, yes, you could even airdrop a matcha token holder the ramen special and they get access to this tasting event that others wouldn't just because they have that in their wallet and it's verified.
Absolutely. And that's also a great way to do CRM and marketing where you're reaching these people, in context of what they like and where they need to be. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, there's also some fun, like negative use cases that come out of that, where it's like, then the other coffee shop down the street could, airdrop to everyone who has a matcha token, like come to our new coffee shop token.
That reminds me of the LooksRare attack on OpenSea, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's true. And how do you protect yourself around it? You can't really. I guess that comes with decentralization, right?
You can't, but that's the point, because should it be about protecting or should engaging with customers be about treating them as equals, right? You don't own your customers. You want to share ownership with them. You want to collaborate with them. And that's what Web3 is about. And it's perfect because that's also where consumers are going with their mindsets now, right? I'm no longer loyal to a brand because I have 10 points with them. I'm loyal to them or have a relationship with them because they continue to give me value, right?
Love that. And so you help brands set up programs like this, the infrastructure around that?
We do three things. We make it easy for them to like tokenize their products. So if you take a fashion brand, they're producing new collections every quarter. We make those collections very easy to tokenize and issue as digital twins, as digital tokens. And that's the second step, issuing and distribution, right? So most brands drops nowadays happen in standalone web pages where as a customer, you go there, connect your wallet and you claim that. We build that into the places where they touch their customers already. So if you want to issue tokens to your customers, you're no longer doing that on a separate standalone page. You do it with a plugin from us in your e-commerce or even on your physical point of sale in your store, right? So next time you walk into the store, you buy something, you can get a token of it right away directly at the point of sale. So tokenization, distribution, and then the third part is operation or let's say execution and utility, where we provide them templates for these kind of like programs where they can say, I want to run a digital twin program, or I simply want to offer my customers proof of authenticity and purchase, or I want to do something more sophisticated and gamified and involving loyalty elements. So we provide different sort of journeys or courses or templates, let's say, to merchants that they can use their tokens with.
Is there one brand, one company that you're observing which is executing that sort of play of engaging their customers very well? Like one case study on this is a beautiful execution?
So I think there's two that I really like. One is from the Web3 space, and that's Bored Ape Yacht Club. I mean, it's probably also one of the most famous NFT projects, but among all of the ones that I've seen and used and interacted with, they've just consistently done a good job of engaging people who are part of the community, but at the same time, letting them have that freedom and ownership, right? So you have all these people going out using their Bored Apes and like creating beer brands, creating fast food chains. I mean, someone wrote a book using a bunch of apes and like, they're publishing that book now on the blockchain. But at the same time, people still remain very loyal to that community. And I think that's a perfect example also to that previous question. Like, what if people steal my customers? People don't steal your customers. You lose them because you stop giving them value. And so Bored Ape is a great example of doing that well. And I mean, in the non-Web3 world, what I personally think is really interesting is the idea, at least right now, that Starbucks has presented with Odyssey. I think we need to see how that plays out. But the concept of it is very much in line with what we're trying to solve, which is to say, use these capabilities, give that value to customers without them ever having to think about the fact that they are dealing with crypto, Web3, a wallet, any of that.
I'm also very curious to see what Starbucks does. I mean, I remember when I lived in New York, that I actually enjoyed the gamification. I enjoyed, going there, getting my stamp, and maybe here and there get a free drink or whatnot. It actually made me go there more often, even though I like to support local coffee shops. And so what I hope with that is almost that Starbucks becomes a hopefully successful case study, and then paves the way for smaller shops to follow along and use similar ways of engaging their micro communities and, just fostering that relationship.
Bingo. And that's what we're excited about as well. And we realized that for that to really happen and happen successfully, all of these smaller businesses, or even like not even tiny like local shops, but even smaller chains, just anyone who's not as big and powerful as Starbucks, who wants to execute these programs, even businesses with a couple of hundred stores, will need the tools and will need the capability to do this in a way that also internally makes sense. Like they're not going to want to set up smart contracts and do all that complexity. And so that's what we've taken on as a challenge. And our vision is really that in the next 5 years, like thousands of brands and retailers are just doing Web3 based community and loyalty programs. But customers will never even know that it's Web3 based.
And that's the key, right? I don't care if this is an NFT or which blockchain you're running on. I just want to have a dope experience.
Nailed it.
So to wrap this up, what's the CTA? You can share your project. Where do we find out more about refive? Who should reach out? Hit us with it.
I mean, so anyone who's working in the space, whether you're an e-commerce brand, you're a retailer with physical stores, whether you're a gastro business, like a fast food chain or something, anyone who's looking at figuring out how to engage their community using tokens, using NFTs, but is worried about the complexity, wants to start with a couple of simple use cases and ideas, and wants to get going quickly, because that's something we really enable. We have currently a couple of pilots going on, which we got live in basically 2 to 3 weeks of work. So anyone who wants to get going quickly, wants to experiment in the real world with real customers and not just Web3 geeks like us, they should reach out. You can reach out to us via owned by, that's the website, owned, OWND.by. Or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Mitul Jain, that's my name.
I heard you're quite active there.
Not as good as you yet, but getting there. So yeah, reach out in any of these channels, or even on our traditional Web2 website, which is refive.io. And we're super happy to help, even just brainstorm and discuss ideas, because we understand that there's a lot of people who aren't there yet. And as we continue to develop our solution and proposition, it's also interesting to understand what are challenges people are facing. So any conversation, super happy to have that.
Love it. Appreciate you for joining. Pleasure talking to you. And see you in Berlin, probably.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, see you in Berlin.
GG.
Forget that matcha. Cheers, man.
I like cappuccino or flat whites more with oat milk.